The Madman! Surprisingly large amount of cards revealed, here's the review! Starting with Book of Specters. Wow, this mage spell seems insane. 2 mana, draw 3 cards, discard any spells drawn. You compare it with Arcane Intellect. On average, if you draw even slightly less than 2 cards, then you're getting an extremely good deal here. Well, I did some expected value calculation, which is basically assigning a percentage of drawing 3, 2, 1, and 0 cards. It seems though that if you have 8 spells in your deck, which would be Book of Specters and then 3 other 2-ofs, you're gonna draw an average of 2.21 cards. And that just goes to show you, you can still run 8 total spells. Now, 2 mana draw 3 is insane. I can see this replacing Arcane Intellect in maybe something like Big Spell Mage. What might be more interesting is running this in something like a Spiteful Mage deck, since, yes, this card is small for Spiteful, but the card again is so powerful, and Spiteful, with a Spiteful deck you want to run so few spells. I mean, there you have it also. Maybe some new Tempo Mage with Spiteful Smith will come about. But where it's probably most obvious is going to be some sort of Tempo Mage, some sort of Aggro Mage, some sort of Zoo Mage. You don't have to run 10 spells in your deck, but you probably want to run the Frostbolt, the Fireball, probably the Primordial Glyph you would like to run. Elemental Mage is a big possibility also. Elementals are not spells, elementals do spell-like effects. You don't discard your Frostlich Jano and you draw with Book of Specters. Seems good. This card is a game changer. 2 mana draw 3 is so ridiculous that there will be some serious attempts to make it work. Next up, for Shaman! Is it finally the great Shaman card that ties in the totem theme that you've been waiting for? 4 mana, 2/3, taunt, battle cry, destroy your totems! Gain +2/+2 for each destroyed. So if you destroy 1 totem, it's 4 mana, 4/5 taunt. Pretty bad, especially considering that you had to have a totem and you destroy it. 2 totems, you get a 4 mana, 6/7 taunt. Seems good until you realize that the totems you destroyed probably have around 4 health. So it's like you just siphoned the 4 health onto the totem cruncher. So it's kind of like a 6/3 taunt for 4. I know the math is a bit weird, but I think that's a quick and easy way to think of it. There's no world where Totem Cruncher is anywhere close to being good. But I will mention that if you play Totem Cruncher in an even deck, totems cost 1 apiece. You know, it's not as hard to eat the totems. That said, I don't recommend it. Warrior gets Fester Root Hulk. 5 mana, 2/7, after friendly minion attacks, gain +1 attack. After the very exciting Town Crier card, it seems like Warrior has a good rush theme to it. And Fester Root Hulk is pretty good with rush, since you play the Hulk, and then even if you don't have a board, you can play the rush cards next turn, or even this turn if you have enough mana. Fester Root Hulk is a card that really wants you to have minions on the board the turn you play it, since you can immediately attack with them and then gain the plus attack. Vanilla stat line, you'd probably want about a 5 mana 5/7 to be good. So you want to play this when you already have 2 minions in play, or you play it alongside a rush minion. That's a lot of mana. Worth mentioning, when Fester Root Hulk attacks, it itself also gains +1 attack. But all in all, given how abysmal this card is when you play it by itself, it's not gonna see play, I would say. Now, it's important to remember my mistakes of the past. I thought that Darkshire Councilman would suck, 3 mana 1/5. I'm very surprised to see Darkshire Councilman at this high a ranking. First of all, base stats are very poor. If you were to summon 2 cards with it on the same turn, then you're getting a 3 mana 3/5. If you do that with Questing Adventure, you're getting a 3 mana 4/4. And Questing Adventure saw absolutely no play whatsoever. And that actually hit with spells too. Anywho, this card takes a bit too long to get set up. And it turned out to be really good, but the reason for that is 5 health on 3 is a lot. Just like 7 health on 5 is a lot. But 5 health on 3, especially back then, was really a lot. I guess the other thing to consider though is that the Councilman is cheap enough that you can play minions with it, whereas the Hulk is not really cheap enough that you can play rush minions with it. So I'm not seeing it. Mossy Horror. 6 mana, 2/7, battle cry, destroy all other minions with 2 or less attack. It's Shadow Word Horror, which was a priest only card, plus 2 mana, and you gain a 2/7, which already is really good. But it's like a 2 mana 2/7, which draws you a Shadow Word Horror, which you then have to play the same turn, but wow. When you put it that way, the packaging deal on this seems very, very good. The main problem is Shadow Word Horror wasn't really played without Pint-Sized Potion. Pint-Sized Potion is rotating out. If it weren't, I would be pretty certain that Mossy Horror would see play. Speaking of Priest, pretty strong with Lady in White, but the trick is finding a way to get that 2 or less attack minion. Twilight Acolyte, perhaps? Aldor Peacekeeper? But in that case, wouldn't you run Kodo? Well, I mean, you can destroy multiple minions, so it'll happen that there will be decks out there with multiple minions of 2 or less attack, and maybe you can force the issue a little bit with your Twilight Acolyte or Aldor Peacekeeper. It'd be interesting to see if the Spiteful Priest took the Lady in White route, and if so, Mossy Horror just might be an interesting one-of in that deck. Just strong enough to be considered a tech/utility card in a lot of decks, I'd say. But specific enough that it's also possibly not going to make decks. Next up, my new value queen. Countess Ashmore, 7 mana 6/6. Battlecry, draw a Rush, Lifesteal, and Death Rattle card from your deck. Ancient of Lore was so powerful as a 7 mana 5/5 draw 2 cards that it got nerfed. This card is neutral. As long as you're drawing 2 cards with it, it's really good. If you're drawing 3 cards with it, that's absolutely insane. If you're drawing 1 card with it, that's not even that bad, but you'd want to aim for 2 at least. Now, important to realize that just because a card has the bolded Lifesteal text or the Death Rattle text, the card inherently needs to have that trait in order to draw it. So, Leeching Poison from Rogue doesn't work, Jaina doesn't work, but interesting cases where it does work is drawing a spell, such as Lesser Amethyst Spellstone, a weapon, such as Bloodrazor, or Woodcutter's Axe. Warrior decks with the Rush package will easily get Rush, and will easily get Death Rattle. Priest decks probably have the highest chance of drawing all 3. You have the Lifesteal of Obsidian Statue, which might be the only good Obsidian, or the only good Lifesteal minion option, but you also have Spirit Lash. And then the Death Rattle, you can draw 2 Obsidian Statues with this. Some sort of Spiteful Priest deck. You get the Rush card, maybe the Swift Messenger, maybe it's even better because of Lady in White. Oh, and then the one class that I always hesitate to mention all the good stuff on, because it is an embarrassment of riches, is yet another good card for Control Warlock. There's a really obvious Great Lifesteal card for it, Lesser Amethyst Spellstone. Death Rattles, well, I mean, there's the Cube, there's the Void Lord, there's that Voodoo Doll, which could also be a good option for them. Now, of course, there's the Lackey, Possessed Lackey. And then finally for Rush, maybe the Muck Hunter. There's like 40 cards that you want to put into Cube Warlock now. Which ones will make the cut? So I think Countess Ashmore is really going to promote perhaps the slightly less good Rush Lifesteal cards, just because adding that 3rd card could be really strong. Similar to how the Curator would sometimes be just good enough to put in that Cold Light Oracle as your Murloc. Countess Ashmore might just be that strong that you might want to put in a card that you normally wouldn't put into your deck, such as Pumpkin Peasant for the Lifesteal, or Swift Messenger for the Rush. And then your other 2 are usually pretty straightforward. And finally, last and least, 8 mana 4/4, Splitting Festerroot. Death Rattle, summon 2/2/2 Splitting Saplings. The Splitting Saplings, when die, split into 2/1/1s apiece. 4/4 branches into 2/2/2s, which branches out into 4/1/1s. Total of 12/12 in value. Really slow though, because you have to start off with an 8 mana 4/4. Violet Worm is an 8 mana 7/7, which Death Rattles into 7/1/1, so that's a 14/14 also. And that sees no play. Nixie isn't played, that's 9 mana, get like 14/14 of stats. But 8 mana 4/4, no. I think if you're aiming to cheat out a card, you should try to cheat out something better than Splitting Festerroot too, because boy do I not want to cheat out an 8 mana 4/4.